We were talking about your progress, which has been really exciting to watch on my side. I saw you in my calendar and I was like, oh my God, this is always so great because you are on such an incredible growth and learning curve. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
And don't you agree too? The more you know, the more you realize like this is unbelievable, really. Things are unfolding. You're becoming more aware. Things that you didn't see before are all of a sudden becoming very clearly obvious.
Yep.
Even in your own behavior. And you were just saying a little bit ago, okay, I feel like, well, and you've been describing to me the process of grace with
Yes.
food specifically, and recognizing when that churchy finger pointing, message on this side says you can't eat that in the morning because it does this and this to your body and blood glucose, and you can't eat that after this certain period of time at nighttime because it's going to do this and you're going to have insulin spikes and blah, 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 right? All that language.
Yes.
You have started to separate yourself from the language and go, whoa, hold on a second. I shouldn't feel bad about this. There's nothing wrong with this, right? You're starting to see the dysfunction in the brainwashing, which is body image and diet cult brainwashing, correct? The amount of indoctrination, fear-based rules, can't do, can do, what's appropriate. You're seeing this now.
Yes.
Which is huge. And
it is huge.
The other thing that has happened too over the last week or two is you are positioning yourself to accept your body. Again, you've gained and lost 100 pounds multiple times, correct?
Yes, correct.
And you are now at the door, and would you say you've crossed over to I'm done?
I am as close to being free of the body image as I have ever been. I feel like I even solidified that in my thoughts a lot further this week by, as you would say, closing the exit door. So making sure that there's no way out.
Yeah. So with that said, you had said to me, so Robin, I really want to I've got this trainer I've worked on in the past, and she never works on, it's body image. It's always fitness oriented. And I'm thinking I want to go back to the gym because I want to work on my strength. And I was like, sounds like someone's transferring the problem, right? Body image, not just your view, but function of the body, right?
Right. Yes.
And I had said that doesn't mean that wanting to tend to the body's needs and help the body maintain function and posture and strength are wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. But your integrity, the meaning behind what you were saying, I could tell was like you're transferring your problems because what you said to me that was like ding dong, is you said, I just feel out of shape and I'm like you started off with the negativity right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. Not feeling strong. Absolutely.
Okay. So not feeling strong. So, which is up here in your head.
Yes.
That is a perception because we could say you are strong. You're very strong. In fact, your body has been heaving around like a lot of weight. So what makes you think that you're not strong? Your perceptions around feeling like, well, if I can't be thin, then I'm going to be super healthy. Health righteousness. You went from thin righteousness to I want to have a body that is like capable. Like it's uncapable right now. So here is what I want to talk about is the actual perception of the body you have as being flawed. All right. I like pull yourself away, and I really want you to let's just observe the human body, not just yours, but all human bodies, right? So, do you know what a redwood is? Redwood trees? Okay. Have you ever seen a tree, whether it's a redwood or something else, that has grown outside of kind of a rocky cliff? So there's redwoods or trees, and then you look, and then there's this tree on a kind of a rocky ledge or a cliff.
Yes.
that has developed and grown. Its roots are mangled. You can see there's roots exposed. The tree is not straight up. It's turning and curving, right? So they've got, it's kind of like a disfigured tree growing in a spot that you would think that's a questionable place to grow. There's very little soil. How is it thriving in the rocky cliff? How is that possible? You know, it's what an expression of the universe in terms of life. What life is capable of in any given environment, right? Would you look at that tree and go, wow, that tree is really ugly? We should just
I think it was the most miraculous, cool thing ever.
Why? Why is that cool?
Because it's something that seems impossible because that's not how trees grow.
Would you say that when you look at that and you go, holy crap, what you are seeing and recognizing is an expression of life under an environment that makes it work harder. It's like this tree is working harder to survive. Should we look at it and say, but it's supposed to have a straight trunk? What the hell? It's bent. Rude. Wrong. We need to straighten that trunk out. Look, its roots are exposed. Like, really? Yeah, that's ugly.
No.
The environment that it's been under has been under stress. And we could look at it and go, well, how is it thriving on a rock? Well, the roots have a crack. There's a crack in the rock that the roots have been able to grow. Sometimes yards, meters, right? How long those roots have to go to reach soil. And how much soil do they actually have access to? Probably not as much. Those roots don't have access to as much nutrition. How did this huge trunk that has to shift corners, that can take the weight of something like a redwood, how are they getting enough nutrients to support the life of this tree? They must have some special nutrient converter that can take small amounts of nutrients and water and convert it into whatever it needs. What an incredible expression of the universe and the earth and its ability to thrive under any given circumstance.
Yep.
So in comparison, the redwoods that are in good soil and that are growing beautifully straight, that can get massive in size and live thousands of years, do they have that same potential?
Well, of course.
Yes, they do. So what
if they were in that circumstance, of course they would.
Yeah. Yep, you got it. So the fact that this redwood that is not in a good environment, that has learned and has been forced to extend its life ability, to extend the roots out, to find an alternative, is there something wrong with that?
No.
It's whatever it has to do, this organic nature has to do to survive under certain circumstance, correct?
Yes.
So it is the same tree, it is the same universe, it is the same energy, but it is expressing the capacity of it under a forced environment. Correct?
Yes.
What's the difference between your body and what has happened to it and that tree?
Nothing. Now I feel really cool.
Yeah, because what you're living in is an incredible expression of how the human body or organic life, because we are a part of this earth, you are actually witnessing an expression of what your body is capable under certain forced environments. So the fact that your body is capable of this expression, of the ability to build fat, the organs to tip its tilt, to be able to keep you alive and conscious, to be able to take, however many times you have forced it to express life through a forced binged environment, equal to the same force of starvation that you've also done to it, that it has this incredible ability to thrive and to sustain this pillar of life. It is literally a pillar of life under any given environment. Is body fat and how the body grows fat to sustain life, is that something to be judged?
No, it's totally normal.
Okay, how is, let's, in comparison, when you see someone who is emaciated from starvation, should we judge that pillar of life as well? Because that's also an expression of how incredible the body is capable of surviving under environments that are a forced environment equally on either side. Is one better than the other?
No, they're both the same.
What would make us believe one is better than the other?
The society, the body image beliefs.
Beliefs that say what?
That say, okay, your skinny anorexic body, or just your smaller body is better, and your body is healthier than your body that has 80 extra pounds of body fat.
Yeah. Or a body that can get abused through exercise is so much better than a body that has been abused with food, and how it compensates to thrive in life. Do you hear? And any spectrum in between starvation and obesity, any spectrum in between, right? Like we can actually place these functions of life sustenance above another.
Yes. I hear you.
So when you say my body isn't strong enough, where is that coming from?
That was in the religion.
Yes, I knew.
That was in the propaganda.
So tell me, when you see this body as an expression of a life sustenance, of course, you can look at it and go, well, holy shit, this is incredible. Like, oh my God. The fact that it is capable, like what you see, the fact that you see is an expression of life. It is those of us who have been educated here on human physiology and how body fat accumulates. There is nothing wrong with that. That is super healthy. Actually, it's a sign of health, and it is a sign of the expression of life. Clearly, that function is healthy. If it wasn't, no human being would be alive today.
Right.
Because the human body is capable of stretching its roots and curving itself around. You know, the difference between us and a tree is in terms of this life pillar that our bodies are capable of accessing is that we're mobile. We have fuel demand and fuel and the ability to actually make our trunks smaller and bigger under any given environment and anything in between. Right? What you've done is you believed that what has happened is we have these moral brains. Right? People who are in survival actually have decided that being thin makes me more important than people who have fat. It's like the skinny trees saying that the fat trees or the trees that have curves are bad, have done something wrong. When in reality, they haven't done a damn thing wrong. What the body is doing is trying to thrive and survive. It's a miracle under constraints.
Yeah.
Right? So here is what I find fascinating, because your perceptions and beliefs are what creates this judgment and shame about how the body has compensated. Or on the other side of judgment and shame is pride and I'm so amazing and look how my body has lost this body fat. That means I did it and I'm amazing, right? Like you're the one that's thriving under starvation. Like you're the one who did that work.
Right.
So if you lived in a third world environment, tell me, how would you be perceived? How would your body be perceived by people who have sustained in starvation for years?
Probably someone who was very prosperous in life.
What does that come with?
Lived in comfort and security and
lack of disease. They would see your body, and what they would feel is a release. Like you must not have anxiety or panic about being able to feed your family. They would see your body and see that you don't have that. They would also see in that body that you have water and it's not full of bacteria. That you don't have chronic diarrhea, that you don't have chronic issues with dirty water. They would see your body and they would see that you have, like, you don't have this insane stress of life, that you are secure, you are safe, that you have this sense of peace and calm about you. That's what they see in a body that is fat. What you see is those feelings in a body that is thin. Calm, peace, confidence, satisfaction. Those emotions stem from survival mechanisms. But the problem is that your survival mechanisms aren't even really survival at all. They're just ego. I want to be thin to prove my worth to everybody because thinness is what makes us special in this country, right? Whereas someone in a real survival environment would look at your body and actually be aligned with survival needs.
Right.
That's why they would look at your body and go, oh my God, I want to be with her. I want what she's got. You would be worshipped because they would assume or unconsciously assume that you have something that they need. You would be the most popular girl.
Yes.
And again, it's praising this function that the body has been under stress. It's like looking at body fat and going, that means you're safe. That means you don't have these life and death stresses, anxiety. And you could go, actually, I have the same anxiety you do because people think that I'm an unworthy person because of this body fat.
Right.
Right? So you have a lot in common with the people who are actually starving and who watch their children die of diseases, or the children watch their parents die of diseases because they don't have nutrition, they don't have clean water, they don't have a clean environment. Right? Except for you're afraid of the diet cult judging you. Which means you're not fit enough yet either. You're just not strong enough yet. You need to be more flexible. You need to have a heart rate that is like, you have like the, your resting heart rate needs to be really low. We need to make sure your heart is strong to prove that you're fit. Okay. Right? As if these survival mechanisms is truly your proof of worth. And or your proof that you're not worthy, like the body's ability to gain fat means that you're not worthy. Yep. Okay. So when you see this, if you look at your body and everybody's body in between, do you want to continue to define your safety and security relative to the body's ability to survive?
No, I don't have any desire to take over the job of deciding for my body how it's going to act.
Yeah. Another example of that is how cognitively skewed the diet and nutrition cult is. They'll tell you that one food is, you should never eat it, as if your body can't handle it.
Right.
But we see this incredible amounts of, it doesn't mean all or nothing, because someone who's been indoctrinated or brainwashed will go, oh my God, Robin, are you saying we should eat 50 of them? It was like earlier when said I had this chocolate cream pie, but I didn't eat 5 pieces. I just had I had like 1/10. It's like just a small amount. It's like, of course, someone who is like, me, would be like, if you eat 1, you're going to eat 10. It's bad. It's toxic, right? Toxic. 1 bite is toxic. No, it's not. It's cognitively skewing. And what that's basically saying is the body's fat growth, it's going to happen if you even breathe fat food. Because fat growth is bad, right? The ability for the body to thrive and survive by gaining fat is not healthy. Question the integrity behind that statement.
Right.
Can your body handle, right? I had another client, who's kind of where you're at in terms of hearing how malicious, actually how brainwashed the beliefs are in terms of body, cult, mongering, food, box, can't have, bad. In the morning, she's like, Robin, I have this like sugar that I want to put in my coffee. I love it. It's like a flavor add that I put in my coffee. It is so good. She's like, I look forward to it every day. And I feel like I shouldn't have that because it's got sugar in it. Right? Tell me how that sounds. What does that sound like? Brainwashing?
Yeah.
Like,
I do it too with my whipping cream.
And she said, but I shouldn't. She's like, but I only have 1 cup of coffee. It's not like I'm having 5 cups of coffee in a day. I just have 1. And I'm just sitting in the back going, you're negotiating with terrorists right now.
Right.
Literal terrorists. You're negotiating with terrorism. Because someone out there is going to go, don't you know what that's going to do to your insulin? Oh my God, you're starting your day that way.
Mm-hmm.
Should she feel bad? Should she literally take that, you can't have sugar in your coffee? Should she take that serious?
No. Nope.
And I had said to her, so do you think that your body can handle that sweetness in the morning? Is the pleasure something that is bad? I mean, are we discounting pleasure? Because pleasure is kind of important. Remember what I said to you about having that chocolate cream pie? I said, you discount the power of pleasure, aren't you? The metabolically, the psychologically, like the value and importance of food and narcotics, like how important that is in all reality. What if you're afraid of that narcotic because it's addictive? You shouldn't eat it. It'll make you have cravings and then you're going to have withdrawal. That outdated approach to addiction, which is super outdated.
Right. Well, and it's BS because it isn't true at all.
I know.
I don't have I'm not sitting here thinking about how much chocolate I need to eat or how much sugar I need to eat because I had a craving that I didn't satisfy at the time of the craving. I waited and I satisfied the craving and I'm super happy that I ate some chocolate cream pie.
Yeah, and are you having cravings right now?
No. No, because that's just unrelated. It's just so crazy how even the smallest things I have bought into because I haven't questioned anything. I didn't really know that I needed to. It's just so.
Why didn't you question the diet industry? All those people who are like, they create a blog that looks super clean and crisp and they tell you all these bad things and they have all these, right? Like, cause they don't ever they don't ever describe quantity dependence, which is incredibly important if you're educated. It's like, of course, it's quantity dependent. How much you have changes everything. That's how organic nature works. Right. It's like how much you water something can affect its health. Water is healthy, but how much does it need? How much sun it gets is very dependent on the species, correct? Is sun bad? No, it's quantity dependent.
Well, and a couple weeks ago, I would have, as I mentioned, I would have literally packed up the pie and sat and ate it at my desk because I would have known I couldn't eat it again and I needed to.
Don't forget, you ruined it. Don't forget, you ruined it already. You ruined your day already.
Right, ruined it already, and that was not my reaction afterwards. My reaction was, it's going to last for another day or two, and if I want it again, it's right here when I want it.
Yep, and what do you think now that you've actually said, you know what, I'm hungry, I'm literally thinking about this food, there's something, whatever it is, I'm going to go ahead and give myself whatever it is that satisfies it. What do you think the likelihood is that when you're hungry again, that you're going to go right to that?
Yes, next time I believe that I'm just going to listen to what my body says instead of listening to what my head says.
Yeah, and do you need to negotiate with, well, I shouldn't, and I know, one thing that you said to me is, well, I'm going to eat this and I'll probably hungry sooner, and what is that?
I did say that.
Right?
That was also BS, yes.
Well, could it be happening, but it changes too, depends, right? Some days I can say, okay, but some days not. It's like when I'm menstruating or when I'm ovulating and where the moon is and where the sun is and is it summer? Where are we at? It changes all the time. So to assume if I eat this, I'm going to be hungry sooner, that is like spewing out brainwashed information.
Yes, which now Now, and when I think about it, you asked me if I was hungry because this is now almost 4 hours ago, and that was what I had thought. Well, it wasn't the greatest choice because I'll be hungry sooner. Well, no, I have not been hungry.
So that
it didn't change
it's not the greatest choice.
The rhythm of my hunger.
No.
So it didn't. It wasn't. It was a great option because it totally satisfied something different that I needed and released me from having to think about it in a crazy way now for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Well, and here's what I think is important that you see. That language you are using is only still there because you still have body image beliefs. Oh, yes. Didn't that hurt to hear me say it?
It did. It's less than it was last week.
That doesn't mean it's gone.
I know.
So I have to just say it. When you are done, none of this occurs. None of it. It doesn't occur. So I think it's however this process is happening for you, it's happening, and I'm so very excited. It does not mean that it has to be one way or the other. You're backing out. I think that's the better way to say it. You're backing out. You're backing up. You're backing out. And the more you experience this like very critical, judgmental, naive, ignorant judgment, right? Because you could say right now what you thought was quite ignorant.
Yes, completely.
It's not even naive. It was completely ignorant.
Yeah, it was.
That you are now realizing that this is ignorant information because it is not even aligned with how the body functions. Like this survival ability and how the body functions is nowhere close to the alignment of the diet cult, the nutraceutical cult, the box of eating cult, food religion, body image religion cult. How is that religion in any way, in that cult, aligned with reality when they judge a survival mechanism such as fat gain and they praise a survival mechanism such as fat loss? How can they be anywhere close to accurate?
Nope, impossible.
I know. And if you think about how skewed it is, they'll take something as simple as sugar in the morning and make you feel like your body is doomed to gain fat.
Yes, I've been there.
Off of one bite. Off of one piece. Ruined.
Because one is the same as 50. It doesn't matter.
Because it's all bad. Right? Yes. Because they don't describe dose dependency. They don't describe quantity dependency. It's all about bad food, moral food, bad food. You can't have it. Shame, 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 shame. Fear, fear, fear. Can't have. You need to know.
Dependency, which is a really great phrase, is because of the I can't eat it later goes back to the body image. So it's just a big cycle.
Yeah, it's brainwashing. You have been brainwashed. That's why you have to battle these thoughts. Because you believed them. You actually gave them credibility. You gave them, they were like sacred information. And it's all based on the mechanisms of fat gain are bad. It makes you a bad person. It's actually a reflection of how you're a bad person. You should be embarrassed of the fat that you have. When you go out in public, you should be ashamed of the fat that you have. As if the tree that grows all mangled to sustain life on the side of a mountain is wrong because it's not straight and beautiful.
Right. Nope, I'm okay being that tree.
Yeah. Well, then you have to be okay with the tree that's capable of doing whatever it's going to do to survive, which is what makes our bodies different. We have such a we're more dynamic in terms of how our bodies can survive because we aren't rooted into the ground. Now, you could say spiritually, we need to be rooted, right? What does that mean spiritually or alma or consciously? That there is this need to be rooted. What that means is that the ability of the spirit to grow and assimilate and acclimate to any given environment, right? So if you have a test spiritually, can you open your system up to grow, for those roots to spread and find some crack that it can thrive in, right? If you live in a spiritual box, you cannot take the root of your spirit and grow it because it has to fit in a specific spot. Right? Huh, that's a whole nother conversation. And I think I need to contemplate on that one. Anyways. I think this is an important thing for you to think about.
It is. Yeah, the tree is a perfect, that is a perfect image for how I have felt. And, that made me see my body in a completely different way.
Yeah, because it isn't flawed at all. It's actually, it is a miracle when you think of the constraints that you've imposed on its system, that it's going to have to compensate somehow to thrive or to sustain your life. Right? Constraints of starvation and constraints of the opposite, which is how you've compensated for feeling ashamed and bad about what you eat.
Yes.
Right? There's all of that psychology involved. If only it was as simple as food's addictive, right?
Right, for sure.
If only that, my God, this would be so freaking easy, because then you just avoid the food and it's like, then you don't have cravings and then you're good.
Right.
How does that sound to you now?
No, it sounds horrible.
Like, where's that leading people?
Right.
Nowhere. It's leading them in circles, isn't it?
Yep. Yes.
And does it give them any accountability?
Nope. Because if they remove it, then your problem will be solved. You'll be smaller, and
yeah. Notice that part right there. And I've lost so much weight with my food addiction rehab. And what happens when they binge again?
Right, it's a million times worse.
And then they got to fix it.
Yep.
And then they got to be like, I just can't eat that again. I just can't handle it.
Yep.
Talk about a tiny little box to live in, right?
Yeah.
Now you're defined by it. Now you have to defend it. Now anything that anybody says elsewhere, you have to avoid hearing it. It's no different than being brainwashed in another way.
Right.
Anyways. All right. Well, you're kicking butt.
Thank you.
So my suggestion at this point is to process this, contemplate on it, and truly disassociate from your body. Like completely, It's not your gig. It's not your miracle.
No.
It's not. You really aren't fixing this.
I really am not fixing this.
You need to get out. It's just like, it's not my deal. I'm not going to sit here and judge how the body has miraculously kept me alive in the diet cult. When you look in the mirror, what you need to see is the consequence of what the body has to do under a diet cult mentality. It's amazing what it's been capable of doing for you.
Yep.
So if you leave the diet cult mentality, it should be left to its own ability to resolve this. Don't hope or expect for it. Remember, if you praise that ability for it to resolve it, you realize you're still in the body image cult, as if its ability to lose fat is so much more important than its ability to gain fat.
Right. Yeah, it's the very same thing.
Yeah. Should we be praising one survival mechanism over a different survival mechanism?
No. Nope.
So when I say to you, you shouldn't really care.
Insulted.
It is insulting. To the body, that is. It's like, really? You can't look at this and go, holy crap, that's amazing. This mechanism of body gain up to, when you see someone who's 500 pounds, you know what I see is something unbelievable. Amazing. Incredible feats of survival. Under stress.
Yeah, for sure.
It's amazing. Yeah. And I don't see the body fat as what should be looked at. I see the stress. The box of stress. And as humans, we can't afford to micromanage our food, we have to look at perceptions because we're higher. Our processing is unique. We can't compare ourselves to a friggin' mouse.
Right.
We can't. That's so enabling in terms of like, it doesn't help anybody. You have to open up your conscious perceptions because perceptions are pretty much where things begin in our brains. It doesn't begin with the food you eat. It's your perception of the food you eat.
Yep.
It's your perceptions of morality too, which is where we really are sensitive because now we're getting into survival.
Right.
Which is very manipulative to our behavior. So is it fair to say that one food causes all the problems?
Right, no.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. It's actually like, okay, you know what? Learning curve. When do people learn that is like super not really true? Right? Like that.
Yeah.
That is probably a very insignificant piece of information in reality. It's information, but it's nowhere close to as powerful, right, as someone's perceptions. So the food itself, right, that you ate this morning is less influential to your physiology than the actual perception that you've done something wrong by eating that.
Right.
Go back to the feeling of it. Which one was worse for you? The feelings that I've done something wrong? Or the actual food?
Oh, yeah, the feeling, because after, it's great. It was probably the best decision I made all week.
Okay, so let me ask a question. How many years did you binge eat?
35.
Okay, so you have been binge eating for 35 years. Pretty severely? I mean, when you see someone gain over 100 pounds, that's a sign that the constraints are pretty intense, right? The body's having to need to survive to that degree is an indication of the constraints, right?
Yep, 7 days a week binge.
7 days a week. So pretty severe. If you had a diagnosis, you would be diagnosed with binge eating disorder, BED.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Eating for every reason, focusing on food, obsessing over food. You'd also be told
24/7.
with someone who's ignorant, you have a food addiction because the food makes you eat it, right?
Sure.
You have all that. Okay, so tell me this. Go back and observe. What is worse, the food that you're eating or the shame and guilt of what you were eating?
Shame and guilt 100 times over.
Is far more influential on the binge than the actual pleasure of the food. Again, I want you to, because they're very separate. Don't you agree? They're very separate in terms of how the brain responds to it.
Absolutely. Again, eating that this morning was the best decision I made all week.
And did you, and because, well, there was still a degree of shame, but was it, you actually negotiated with the churchy church of you shouldn't eat this now. You said, you know what? I shouldn't feel bad. I'm hungry. Right. Okay. So again, the stimulus of the sugar and the pleasure versus the shame, which one ultimately influences this binge eating behavior? You are an expert, 35 years of it.
Right. It was not the sugar, just let me say that. So
wouldn't you agree though, when you were in it and you didn't get any direction, that when someone said, oh my God, you're addicted to sugar, that you would have said, yeah, oh my God, I can't stop eating it. That's so true.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, I have 100 times.
That the food makes you and then you have withdrawals.
Yep.
Okay, so why is it so different now? Why is this different? Because equally, wouldn't you agree? So the whole leptin resistance bullshit that's going around too. Wouldn't you agree? Like you're still, how much body fat do you have? Did you you regained 100 pounds or 80 pounds or?
Yep. Yeah.
So you're not thin and having success. You are on the other side of that survival spectrum.
I am.
And what has happened as we've removed the churchy church food mongering? What has happened to your response to this bad, evil Satan food?
Well, I guess I know how to, I just know how to respond better because I see a lot of that as false. Like my thinking that I'd be hungrier faster this morning due to the sugar. No, that has not happened.
Mm-hmm.
So every time that I prove it wrong, it loses its power.
Yeah. Well, it loses its credibility.
Yes, it loses credibility. That's absolutely it. Yep.
Which is power. So
yes,
it's the same.
Credibility is a better word because I did think it was credible.
You did. And you just believed it.
And that's what gave it power, is because I thought that it was true.
Thank you. So when I say it's the power of your beliefs, what you believe, it's like this is how the placebo effect works. The placebo effect is amazing, actually.
Oh, for sure.
What you believe, you can create. Right? So if you believe sugar is toxic, you're going to feel toxic when you eat sugar. And it's real.
Yep.
I know, because your beliefs magnify your fear, your judgment, your morality, which is survival, can change your body's reaction to it. So when people come to me and they're like, I live this way, I live this matrix of a diet, I believe in this, it's like, well, good luck getting out.
Right.
Good luck, because your beliefs actually are keeping you in it. You'd have to completely remove the belief and have your own experience without shame and guilt, because you're not going to get a different experience if you still have the moral brainwashing around the food. Wouldn't you agree when you hear that? It's like if you continue to have this... Hold on. Wait. Will you shut it? If you still have the moral brainwashing, you're still fighting with feeling bad, like you've done something wrong, right? Again, that's relative to the fact that they judge the body's ability to survive gaining fat. So that's a moral wrong, and we need to fix that. So based on that, everything you do is wrong. If you actually feel bad about it, what happens to the impulse to continue to eat whatever it is that's bad?
It increases.
Yeah, because you think you'll never do it again. You think there's an end to it, right? That creates this idea of being deprived. At some point, I will deprive myself because what I'm doing now is so bad, but I've already ruined it, right? There's this degree of all nothing to the foul, like you ruined it type of thinking, right?
Right.
If there is no morality to the food, and there is no shame to the food, and there is no I've done wrong with the food, or I'm entitled, right? If there's nothing wrong with the food, do you need to negotiate for it?
No.
Do you have to argue and say I've earned it? It's my right. I've done so well. I'm having a horrible day. I've had stress today. You wouldn't have that language in your brain, would you?
No, not at all.
Or screw it, I don't even need an excuse. I'm going to get what I want. That's a form of fight versus flight, right?
Yep.
It's still guilt, underlying guilt in that.
Right.
Without that shame, guilt, and judgment, what happens to the power of the actual food? Even if it's straight candy, what happens to it?
It doesn't have any power.
No, it doesn't. It's quite incredible. When you have thought the opposite, when you were feared into the opposite, when you believed the opposite, it is incredible the difference. And I think what's important for you is that you've actually experienced the difference, the impulsiveness and the power of the food prior compared to the same exact food now.
Right.
Is it the same?
It's the same food, but it is a different power.
Very different response. And again, the whole thing is you only have access to this guilt-free, shame-free, kind of removed morality with food when you look at your body and give it gratitude and see it for what it really is, which is miraculous. Life-sustaining at all times. It's quite incredible what it's capable of doing to make adjustments to keep you alive, to wake you up every morning, to put you to sleep every night, to sustain when you're sick. It's pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah. And what is, again, I'll finish with this. Why isn't your body just as miraculous as the anorexic who is starved and still alive? And
it is. The body is.
And anything in between, by the way.
Everything in between.
It's equally as amazing
It is.
under any given environment. And the fact that you have put it under constraints because of your shame belief and it's been capable, what you're seeing is actually, it is so cool. Really kind of cool.
Well, and it makes it easier to see that that is a very clear example of how it is not the body at all. It's the person who has an anorexic body or anywhere in between and the person who has excessive weight. Their thinking is still, their belief is still the crazy part, because the anorexic has the crazy as much as the overweight person has the crazy.
Correct. It's like the same belief system, the same religion on the flip side.
It's just a different way of showing the crazy.
You got it. It's either it's the fight or flight.
Yep, the fight or flight.
Defensiveness or offensiveness. Which one are you going to choose? Same belief, right?
Right.
What's the difference between the nun who isolates themselves from any temptation and the person that lives in temptation full of shame?
Nothing.
No. Same beliefs. Isolation or living it with shame.
Right.
Same.
But that's being isolated as well.
Correct. Well, it's a different form of isolation.
Right, a different form of isolation, but yeah.
You're just living in shame.
Right.
Versus someone living in fear.
Right.
Which is really, when you consider the life you have, when that whole thing is based on the morality of how much fat you have or how little fat you have, it's what a waste of a beautiful life.
Right.
And what a waste of the human body's ability. I mean, it's being shamed or praised. Right. Hyper praised, hyper shamed.
Yes.
It's really none of our business.
Now,
so when I say to you, when you lose weight, you shouldn't care. It's not your business. If you lose body fat, you shouldn't even be associated to it. It's the body's ability. It's the body's function. It's the body's praise to just maintain life under the environment you're listening to, because ultimately it's guiding what you're doing anyway. So it's not even yours. It's the body's telling you, here's what we need. Stop what you're doing. Under any given environment, it's making continual adjustments. You travel, if you have a day at work where you're super stressed out, it's got to acclimate to that.
Right.
How it acclimates, you shouldn't be taking praise or feeling bad about it.
Right.
Anyways, it should feel like the body's function and the way it looks, you are disassociating from it. You are
Yes. Today, this discussion, I feel very disassociated.
Yeah. So this whole, I want to go get my trainer again and work on strength. Can you wait for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just wait, because we want to make sure that you really don't get this sense of grandeur from it, that it's really just the human body is meant to work. I don't have to work. Use it or lose it. So, but I would like to be able to, work in my yard and have the strength to pick things up if I need to. I want to have the function of the body that I have. It's no different. If you were in a wheelchair, you would want to have the arm strength to be able to do what you want to do and how you want to travel in the body. It's not a matter of, are you a better person or lesser of a person? Right? Just because you're stronger doesn't make you a better person. If it did, I would have all this information about here, and I'd have pictures of how strong I am, and I would have videotapes of me doing certain things and being like, you can listen to me, I'm credible, look at how strong I am. Right?
Yes.
It's my strength. Is that really my strength?
No.
Is the fact that I get stronger if I work on that my ability, or is that just an expression of the body's ability?
No, that's my body.
I know, and it's a cool experience, but if you attach to it, that might cause a problem.
Yes, yeah, I'm not ready for it. I will definitely be there, but today is not that day.
Yeah, just don't make it again. Yeah, can you see why then I would say hold off?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to be stronger, but when it's I want the body to be stronger for me,
Right. No.
my body's weak. I really think I need to get it stronger.
Right. Nope.
Context is everything.
Yes.
You have to really question the context. It shouldn't be a need. It should be a luxury.
Right.
You have the time, you have the spending money, you have the mobility to do it. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. It's like wearing a cloth very loosely. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, thanks for letting me share this.
Okay.